looks like we're good here. We're just about good. Let me check one more thing here. Bam. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Here we are. All right, we're good. Looks like we're up and running. Let me check this. Boom, boom. Come on up, come on up, come on up. There we are. We are up. I need this moved over just a little bit. Man. All right, now I can see all that. Perfect, 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 perfect. All right, we are up. You're going to give it about a minute or so for some people to filter in. Because, we're on quarantine. There is no real sense of time anymore. We show up when we show up. This is the right day, right? I said Tuesday, and it is Tuesday, right? Drum to go. What's up, Showbot? I see you. Thank you guys for being here and being early. Impressive. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. We're going to get into all sorts of things. I figure we can do about an hour. That should be enough. Then people get tired of hearing me talk. But we'll try to answer as many things as we can this afternoon. And pretty much nothing is off limit. Anything you want to know DJ wise, being a Disney, cruise ship, all that, we are going to try and answer those today. Well, not try, but I'll answer what I can. Certain things I cannot talk about, but if it gets to that, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This should be fun. Oh, and this is what I learned today, that my brain is not working at full capacity because I was literally about to put on a green shirt before I started, which is not the most genius thing to do when you've got a green screen behind you. It would have just looked like a floating head, and nah, we're not doing that at all. Ooh. Drum to go. I wonder. No Windows. We do not want to restart anything right now. You're going on snooze. Jagger, what's up, man? Now we talk about Disney DJs. This is like the Castle Man right there. That's all star. It's like every other video I see, man. They got your friend the castle working hard. That's sweetness right there, dude. I realized 2 nights ago, like it has been a month since the last party out at Disney Springs, and it was like, it's really been 30 days since we've been out there. And it's like, that's wild to even think about. But at the same time, like, it's, I don't want to say lucky, but like, I'm happy that we were able to get, what was it, almost 2 years out of it. Yeah, no, we made 2 years exactly out of that, considering it was only supposed to be a 4-week thing, and we made it 2 years outside. Like that, I'm proud of that. I miss it, but at the same time, like, I'm just reveling in the fact that we made it that far. We absolutely made it that far. So, this mic, it's an MXL. I forget, I got this like 4 years ago, like when I was going through my radio DJ phase in Minnesota. Like I was really doing voice recording. I was doing like 90% of the voiceovers and the radio commercials and productions for KMOJ in Minneapolis. So like I got this back then, and this is just piped in through my S9, which is going into a audio interface into the laptop, because I gotta have clean sound. I gotta have clean sound. That's just the audio file in me. I see so many DJs like going on, and I understand some of them, like, it's hard for them to like get a clean feed going in the IG live. Sometimes Facebook live, they're going without their phone, but like that kind of drives me up the wall. Like, I'm petty like that. Like, it drives me up the wall when I tune into a DJ and like I can hear everything else going on in the background, or I can hear like the clicks of their fader. Like, it takes me out of what they're doing, and I stop listening as a fan and I start listening as a DJ, and I start listening technically, and then it stops being fun, because now I'm listening for what you're doing, how you're doing it, where are you dropping your mixes in, okay, you're scratching, okay, what is your technique like? And I do that enough already. I try not to do that. I really, really, really try so hard not to be a critic when other people are DJing. But when the audio is bad, like, that's what I own in on. So knowing that I do that, I make sure that my audio is clean. Because if I do that, I know there are other people that do that. And when I'm DJing, I just want people to enjoy it when we're live streaming. I really want you to just zone out, have a good time, not worry about like if, we got echo, reverb, all that. If anything, we all should have learned a lesson from Teddy Riley went down, not once, but twice. That's all you need to know about audio right there. If you missed that, that was, that was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. And if you have that much money and that many people around you, there's no reason why it should sound like that ever. Excuse me. Yeah, JW, it was only supposed to be a month. It was only supposed to be when they approached the three, because they had 3 different companies they approached, 3 different agencies for the late night party originally. It was, and the show direction for that is like they just wanted to do something for spring break. It was an experiment. They wanted to see how it would work out. And they said, okay, this is what we want. We want it to be like a Miami style club party, Disney-fied, but no interaction. Like, we want it to be like really like this whole club kind of feel. We're going to do it during spring break. One company's going to have Thursday night, one company's going to have Friday night, another company's going to have Saturday night. You guys will have the Friday night, and that's how it's supposed to be. Now, when I found out about this, and my agent said, okay, we want you to do the first Friday night, this is where the competition side of me comes in, and like this kind of pushes me to like another level. Sorry about that, Pop. It pushes me to another level, because when I heard that, I was like, okay, this is like the moment for me. Because, hold on, before we get to that, let me take you back. I have been DJing since, 90, 94 is technically when I started. That was when I ever put my hands on a pair of turntables. Oh, DJ Mine's in the house. What's up, big boy? That's just the man right there. That's my guy. So I started in '94, and it was a cousin of one of my good friends in high school that introduced me to like turntables, because like we went to his house party, and like I was like, oh my god, like here they are. Because prior to this, I had seen Jazzy Jeff do a thing on American Music Awards with Fresh Prince. It's like, and it blew my mind. It's like I want to know how to do that, but I didn't know anybody with the equipment. So '94, I meet one of my friend's cousins, and he has it like, and I'm fascinated. Like everybody is dancing and doing their thing, and I'm just fixated on turntables, like fixated on. So after the party was over, he pulls me aside and he says, here, like try this, you know, and this, yeah, and like he just started walking me through it. So '94 is like when I really started like dabbling in DJing. 97, 3 years later, and I'm not gonna tell you how old I was then, but let's just say I was legal at that point. I got hired by Norwegian Cruise Lines to be a DJ there. So I leave home from San Pedro, California, which is outside of, like, it's a beach town outside of Los Angeles, and they fly me to Miami, and '97, October 14th, to be exact, I am on the Norwegian Crown, and then I start DJing on cruise ships, so I go through from the turntable phase to the whole CDJ phase. Like my very first pair of CDJs, like I talked the company into getting the Pioneer 502s that had the top loading CD with no shock protection. And our cruise ship, like the nightclub on that ship was on the back of the ship, which is, if you've ever been on a cruise ship, that's where all the engines are. So whenever we would leave port, you would get vibrations like crazy. So these things have no 5-second, 10-second shock absorbing on there. It's like this one, once you started vibrating, that was it. CD skips. So literally had to take 2 pillows out of my cabin, put them under the CDJs as shock absorbers, just so we could get through nights at the club, and that was for years until they upgraded. So leave cruise ships in 2008 and end up in Orlando. Hooked up with a talent agency here. They were supposed to get me Disney approved. That didn't happen. Things like, it got crazy because that agency was like going through like a major transition. I got caught up in the shuffle and kind of like overlooked and left out. So I end up on another cruise ship until 2010. I leave there in 2010, end up in, dude, you have no idea. Needs shock protection? No, like it was so bad. This is like 97, 98, like right before they started like really putting stabilizers on giant cruise ships. And when I tell you vibration, when you're pulling out of cruise ships, I mean like horrible, like stuttering vibration. It was so bad. Like once we got out into the middle ocean, it wasn't so bad, but still, like it was still motion. And when those sensitive CD players, it was a wrap. It was absolutely a wrap. So I literally, like I said, pillows under them, and it worked. It looked funny as hell, but it worked. So getting back on track, I leave ships for good in 2010, and so the woman that I was dating at the time, like we had been going like back and forth, and she was a teacher in Minnesota, and exactly, you couldn't. She lived in Minnesota, and I was here in Orlando, and like things were kind of in flux. Like I really wasn't working so much. Like things were like sporadic, but it wasn't enough to like really fully sustain me. Like I was, at the time, I was doing like a lot of back and forth parties in Vegas. I was doing after parties for like celebrity shows and concerts at Hard Rock in Mandalay Bay. That's where it was. That little tiny Hard Rock in there, And so at the time, I was like, you know what? There's nothing much going on for me here in Orlando. And wherever I'm being, like whenever I need to work, like they're flying me where I need to go. So I relocated up to Minnesota with her, and that's when like I got into radio. Like I had a friend of mine, he introduced me to this guy Ray Seville, who was like he was like one of the king of promoting in Minneapolis. Like he ran with Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis back in the day. Like this was like the guy, and so he was in charge of marketing at KMOJ in Minnesota. So ended up linking up with him, and that's how I got into the radio thing. And then there was a whole accident, like there was a car accident, and it tore all the muscles on my side and like all the ligaments here. Like it was bad. Like I was in therapy for about 3 months. We ended up getting a cash settlement. And so it was fine, but whenever it got cold, it just like ran havoc on my entire body. Like whenever it got cold and winter, I was like, you know what? And I did 2 summers after that. I mean, 2 winters after that accident. I was like, I got to get out of here. Like I can't stay in this cold. Ended up back down here, in summer of 2017, then linked up with Event Concepts, and then it was off to the races, like off to the races. But I say all that to say, like, all these little different environments that I had been in DJing and working through, like it got me ready for this specific night. Like working on a cruise ship and DJing 7 nights a week for 4 months at a time, like there is no better boot camp for DJs, because it's not like it's not like working in a nightclub where you get used to the regulars. You get used to people coming in and they know what you're going to do. They come there because it's you. They know the vibe that you're going to give out. Every 7 days on a cruise ship, your life changes because they get off and a whole nother group comes on. And what worked last week may not work this week. And not on top of that, what worked on Monday night may not work on Wednesday night. So you learn real quick to adapt what you're doing. So being able to think like that, having been trained to think fast, look at your crowd, read it real quick, all these little things, like it got me ready for this late night party. Like everything that had been from microphone work and all the things I had to learn on that, it got me ready. So when I walked in there, I was like, okay, I know what they asked for. And this is what they're asking for as like the bare minimum. Let's take that to this level. Like this is what they're expecting. We're going to give them this. So when that happened, and this is like the wild story, like my whole goal was like, I just want to make an impression, because at that point I had only been a Disney DJ for, November, December, January, February, March. Like it still wasn't even 6 months yet. So at this point, like I'm still trying to establish myself, let these people know, like, who is DJ Michael Wycoff? Like, who is this guy? Like, we know he's been approved, but who is he as a DJ and an entertainer? So to me, it was like, okay, this is the moment. This is where we put our feet firmly on the ground and say, boom, this is who I am. This is what I can do. And I remember as clear as day, we started it at 10 o'clock, and the manager, Disney Springs, said, okay, boom, this is what we're doing. This is what happened last night. This is what we want to change. Can you do this? No problem. Done. So I do this, and 20 minutes into this, like, how you feel something's going on around you and you can't really tell what's going on around you, but you just feel a certain type of energy. I felt it. And like, I looked up, because I had just been focusing on everybody that was out there. I look up and I look to my right, and behind me on that wall, like this is before they had the whole lighting system and all that, like it was all the trees that were still back there, and I look behind me, and there were, no exaggeration, 8 different Disney Springs managers behind me. They've all got their tags on, and every single one of them has got their phone now recording what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, now we're on to something. So I just continue to go through my night. We go from 10 to 2 o'clock. We did 4 hours when we first started. I go from 10 to 2 o'clock, right? So do my night, Somebody else does their Saturday night, and we go on. I've got a couple other, small Disney gigs throughout the week. Tuesday rolls around and I get a call from my agent. And he's like, Mike, I'm rolling right now. Like I'm going back and forth, but check your calendar and tell me what you're thinking about this. Is like, would you be available to do more nights of like the late night part? It's like, yeah, of course. No problem. He's like, okay, call you back. Click. And he just hangs up on me. I'm like, that was random. That's really, really weird. So an hour goes by and he calls me back. He's like, yeah, so I was talking to management and they said they had asked me, would you be interested, can we get Michael for Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays? And I told them, well, yes, if we want to extend this and keep going on next month, I'm sure we can make this possible. And they told him, no, we mean starting this Thursday. And he says to them, but wait a minute, you've got a contract with two other companies for Thursday and Saturday night. What are you going to do about these guys? They're like, oh no, we'll move them wherever we need to move them. We're not worried about that. But we want Michael to do all 3 nights. And like getting that phone call is like, okay, we made it. Here we go. And then from that and building their reputation, that spun off into a lot of other things. The resorts, it ended up leading to the Incredibles party at Magic Kingdom, and the Epcot, the very first Dance du Jour party that year. So it was just a number of things that just happened as a result of being prepared, going through this whole process of a 15, 20-year journey of things starting and stopping, almost like getting there and it not happening, and then just, not giving up, keep going. And eventually, like, they say, if throw enough things at the wall, eventually it sticks. Like, I'm a living example of that. It's like, you got to keep going, believe in what you're doing, have a passion for what you're doing, and give people something different than what they're accustomed to. My philosophy has always been that people don't go out to a restaurant to order a grilled cheese. And what I mean by that is anybody, and we see this all the time, calls themselves a DJ. They go out, they get a laptop, they subscribe to a record pool, or they torrent their music, and they figure, okay, I've got this and I've got a controller and I'm a DJ now. I can play top 40. Anybody can play top 40. You can sit in your car and listen to the radio, and those of us DJs who are really about this life can tell you that you can go to a club somewhere and listen to a DJ play it for an hour, go around the corner, go into a different club and listen to a different DJ play the same songs in almost the same order, because there's no real creativity from the new guys. They see it as something that's like, okay, I can get drink tickets, a tab, I can be popular with my friends just by doing this, and this whole fake it till you make it mentality. That's the grilled cheese. You go out to a restaurant because you want something you can't get at home. You want the filet mignon. You want the lobster. You want these things that you just don't have in your kitchen. That's how you perform as a DJ. To get to a different level, you give people something that they can't get at home. If you're coming out to see me, if you're spending gas money, if you're paying an admission to a theme park, if you're, spending it at a hotel, that my job is to make sure that when you leave after seeing me, that your mind is blown, that you remember this was not someone who just plays music. This was not a jukebox. This was a show. This was entertaining. This is something that like I'm going to remember. And that's how you stand out as a DJ. Don't do what everybody else does normally, and that's not to say don't play the hits, don't play the top 40, but do it in a creative way. Don't just phone it in. There are ways to where you can make things creative. Like, case in point, like I'm in this room right now, I've got JW Jagger, I've got DJ Mine in here. If you gave 3 of us the exact same 20 songs, I promise you, it would not come out the same way. You would hear three different styles of DJing, and each one of them would be unique to who they are. You know, when DJs let their personalities come through in their performance, in their show, in their DJing, like that connects with people more than just pressing a button, you know, and saying, okay, this song is going on for a verse and a chorus, and now we're going to do something else. Like, people can tell when Mind is DJing. People can tell when Jagger is DJing. People can tell when Scott King is DJing. People can tell when I'm DJing. People can tell when Jazzy Jeff is DJing. When certain DJs do their thing and it's their personality and it's their style and it's their collection of music, like, you know, you connect with that. It resonates with that. So that's what separates the people who do this as a hobby and the people who make a career out of this. You know, there are DJs who do this, and I say DJs because they're not DJs. You know, they're portable jukeboxes, but there are people who do this and they have to have like a second job, or that is their second job. DJing is their hobby. You know, for me, this is not a hobby. Like, this is a career. This is my life. Like, I've lived it. I've literally bled for it. I've cried for it. I've slept in my car over this, you know, so it's a different mentality when you live and breathe this as someone who does this just because it seems like it's cool now, or, you know, it's something to do while I'm going through college, or this is going to help me pick up chicks, or whatever the reason they get into it besides the music and entertaining. There's a significant difference, and those people don't last. You know, to make it 20, Jesus Christ. Wow. 23 years. To still be doing this after 23 years, it takes a level of love, passion, being able to overcome heartbreak, a level of persistence, because how do I phrase this? No, there is no phrasing. This is just me. We're going behind the curtain. All right. This is just me. There are people who will tell you, get a real job. This isn't a real job. Do something with your life. You need to have an adult job. You know, when they don't realize, when you put all of it into that, you know, it is a real job. Like, people don't understand that for every 3 or 4 hours that you see us on a stage, in the club, wherever it is that we're performing, there can be anywhere between 15 to 40 hours of preparation just to get to those 4 hours. You know, and people on the outside don't see that. You know, significant others sometimes don't see that. They just think, oh, you're just out there playing music and you're just entertaining, and they don't understand that there is a process of doing what we do. There is a psychology behind doing what we do. You know, that's another thing that separates the people who do this the people who do this for a living. You know, there's a psychology in being able to look out on a crowd of complete strangers and getting them to do what you want them to do, even though they don't realize they want to do it. You know, you have to break through their walls, and it requires a psychology of looking out and say, okay, I've got a group of 20-year-olds right here. I've got a group of 30-year-olds right here. There's a large group of 40-year-old women right here. I've got a group of Karens over here on this side. Like, how do I break through to each one of these groups and make them all have a good time together? And you can't just do that by, I'm just going to put this on. I'm just going to put this on. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this. Just going to do this, you know, and the thought process behind that, it doesn't come easy. The amount of times that I have crashed and burned, you know, trying to figure that out, You know, the amount of times where I thought I had a dance floor or a party in the palm of my hand, and I did a song or something, and it just, boom, it just disappeared. You know, and you learn from that. Like, you have to take those failures and figure out, okay, why didn't that work? Was it the wrong song? Did I play the right song at the wrong time? You know, and being able to, excuse me, analyze what you're doing, that psychology, and figuring out to where you can look at a crowd and say, okay, boom, boom, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. That should work. And then if it doesn't work, having a plan B and say, okay, that didn't work, so we steer more this way. And then if something does work, you can stick with that in that pocket. You know, well, what is a good Karen song? What gets those Karens moving? Living on a Prayer. Every single time, Living on a Prayer. You can do that, or you can do Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody. I don't know why, but it works every time. Every single time. Let's see. What else works? What's a good Karen song? Spice Girls. That's a good Karen song. That always gets them hyped up, like ridiculously high. Let's see. But when you're dealing with Karens, you can pretty much go anything 80s rock. Like, you're pretty much safe on that. 80s rock always works for a good Karen every single time. There's a list on Spotify. It's like the most hilarious thing ever. And it's like, the title of the list, I'm not exaggerating, is songs that get white people turned. And if you go and read this list, it is hilarious. If you're a DJ and you go and read this list, you know it's 150% accurate, because there's not anything wrong with that. Like, the list is bam, 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 like one after another. And you go through and be like, yep, I've used that, I've used that, I've used that. That works. I've used that, I've used that. You know, but like, that's fun for me though. Like, figuring out like what's going to work. Like, that's part of the fun for me. It's like putting together a giant jigsaw puzzle musically. You know, and once I figure that puzzle out and I put all the pieces together and I've got everybody where I want them, that's when I can go left. You know, that's where I take you somewhere you weren't expecting to go. You know, that's the fun part. You like building up what I call, you know, the dance floor connection. You know, when you get to this point where you just feel it. You just feel that like you and the crowd are like tuned in. Like, you guys are on the same page. And when you feel that, then you throw them a left curve. You know, you make them say, whoa, I wasn't expecting that, but this is fun. You know, because people, generally speaking, you know, they don't come out of the junior high school dance phase, you know, where everybody's pretty much on the wall and no one wants to be the first person to come out. What's been an event you've done at Disney that you said, wow, now this is pretty cool? For me, I would have to say, oh, Jesus. There are two moments. There are two very specific stories. The first one is actually kind of emotional. And I haven't told this story to anybody unless you were there that day. It was in the middle of the Incredibles party, you know, that season. Like, we had started that in beginning of May, and we were like right around June or so. So it's like right in the middle of the heat, you know. So we're doing the party, and one of the party activators is like trying to get my attention, you know, because like that was a huge variety show. You know, we had the characters out, you know, we had a variety act, you know, that were like supposed to be like superheroes and all that. And one of the party activators is like trying to get my attention, you know, and she tells me, she's like, there's this family that wants to talk to you real quick. And I was like, yeah, no problem. As soon as we go into like our next dance break, you like have them close to the stage and I'll come and talk to them real quick. No problem. So we go through our next sequence And then we start like I start DJing and I'm able to put like on a song that's like long enough to where I can go talk to his family real quick. And I get down there and it's a little boy in a stroller. He's about 3, 4, and the mom tells me that he's a Make-A-Wish kid. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, and she said, like, he just wanted to talk to you because he looked up there and he was like, he looks like me. He looks like me. And it was like it was a moment where it's like, holy shit, like this is my life. Because you have to understand, I'm on the stage. I've got Mr. Incredible coming out. I've got, Elastigirl coming out. I got Frozone coming out. Edna Mulch comes out. All these superheroes that are in this Pixar movie that's like a worldwide phenomenon. And this little Make-A-Wish kid didn't want pictures with them. He wanted to talk to me. And his mom is telling me that like this made his day. This made his trip. And it was like even now, like it affects me, because like of all the things that I've done, of all the events that I've done in my life, like I've been on stage with MC Hammer, I've done after parties for Pitbull, Wu-Tang Clan, like that was the moment. It was like where I felt like what I do makes a difference. Like I felt like I did something that nobody else could do for this kid. And it was that moment, it was like, wow, like this is why I do what I do. Like it was heartbreaking, but at the same time, it was like very empowering. It was a very emotional realization of what my job really and truly is. It's about giving people moments. It is music, but it's not just music. And it was a stark reminder of that. Okay. That was the emotional one. Now, the fun one for me, the one moment where it was like, whoa, this is cool. It was during the Dance du Jour party at Epcot. This is the first year that they're trying this, and like we're going through it, and like we've like it's been a couple weeks now. Like we're finally like in our zone, and I'm up on that main stage. When they still had the main stage because they just took it down. I'm up on the main stage. Behind me is Spaceship Earth, the giant ball, and I look out and that whole area from the front of the stage all the way back to the bridge that goes to, World Showcase. It was literally packed. You couldn't walk through there, and I'm looking out there and it's about 10,000 people and we are just out there partying, we're dancing, we're doing sing-alongs, at the top of our lungs to where other managers were like, we heard you guys on the other side of the park, and I look out and it's that many people and I'm like, this is a cool job. Like this is what I worked for. Like this is what I sweated for, what I took all those losses for. Like this moment right here makes it worth it. Like that was one of the moments where I was the most happiest, and like the largest crowd I'd ever been in my life. And it was just like, we're here. It's that moment of like, we've arrived. Yeah, we've arrived. That was my we've arrived moment, and like, it was unreal. It was absolutely unreal to experience that, like you hear yourself being piped through the speakers, of a park and remembering that, like, what that felt like as as a kid going through and like hearing that stuff and like how magical that was growing up, and then realizing that, oh, that's me. That's me coming through here. Like those moments, they still blow my mind because it's a constant battle with me internally. Like there's this side of me that is the Disney fan, and that grew up with this, in Disneyland in Los Angeles, like grew up with this and wanting to be a part of this. And then there's me that came here, and like you get overwhelmed sometimes thinking like, this is Disney. Like it's Disney. Like no matter where you go in the world, everybody knows Disney. And the fact that like I'm a representative of this. I'm an entertainer in this. Like sometimes it can be overwhelming. you know, then I get into the zone where it's like, okay, this is my job. Let's go out here and do what we do. And you start to put that to the side and you forget, and not in a negative way. You just kind of forget, like you're just in your moment and doing what you do. And then realization, like every now and then something happens that reminds you, it's like, oh yeah, this is wild. One of the funniest stories my sister told me is she said to me, like, she had taken a cruise and like she was coming back and like I picked her up, was taking her to the airport, and we were just talking and joking around. And she looks over at me, and she works in corporate at Hot Topic. So like all the T-shirts and stuff that you guys see, like when new stuff comes out, like she's one of the shoppers for that. Like she gets these things approved. So like she's always like in meetings with like these celebrities and all that. And so she says to me, she leans over and she says, you've been a DJ like all of my life, since I was born, and I didn't realize that you were a big deal, how big of a deal you were until a couple weeks ago. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I was in this meeting with, and I forget her name right now. Like it's totally slipping my mind. But basically, she was in a meeting with the voice of Ashoka Tano from Clone Wars. They're doing this thing, and they're just having a conversation, blah, 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 blah. And she, like the voice asked my sister, do you have any brothers? Sisters? Like, what's your family like? And my sister starts telling her, about my brother who works for TSA. And she says, yeah, my brother's a DJ for Disney. And the voice says, wait, stop. Your brother DJs for Disney? Where? He's like, yeah, she's over at Disney World, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I know who your brother is. Holy crap, that's your brother? And my sister's like, the fact that she freaked out over who you were let me know what type of atmosphere you're running in. It was the most hilarious thing. So it's like, it's really, I don't want to say weird, but it is weird. It's weird because I still see myself as the 17-year-old who just loves this. Like I'm a kid from LA who left college to start DJing on cruise ships. And like mentally sometimes, like I'm trapped in that bubble of that view of me. Like I don't see what other people see because I'm looking at myself through those lenses, So when people tell me these things, like it's very weird to hear it from the outside because I don't see myself like that. Like it's amazing. It's humbling. It's sometimes an extreme weight on your shoulders. It really is. Oh, I almost forgot. Going back, like as I'm thinking, like this other thing, the third event that I would have to say was probably the coolest for me, and this was a real close second to the Epcot one, is when I got to do the 20th anniversary of the 20th reunion for the Mouseketeers Club. Like that party was insane, like absolutely insane. It was nuts. And it was super cool too because Jennifer McGill from the Mouseketeers Club, from Mickey Mouse Club, she used to work on a cruise ship with me back in 2005 to 2007, and we were good friends. And like, I didn't know who she was until like a year and a half after we had been friends, so I always thought that was kind of cool. But then after like she left and I left and we didn't see each other forever. So I got to see her that night. That was cool. So like I'm partying with her, Joy Fatone. Like it was a nuts night. We were all dressed up in 90s gear and it was like 1,000 people inside, Epcot Showplace, which like it was nuts. Like that party was nuts. They had the whole a Mickey Mouse Club set in the back. Like it was that was a wild night. That would have to be number three of my Disney events. Like yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've been with this company for 8 years on and off. I still have moments where I look at my name tag and realize, hey, that's my name. That's where I'm from. That's me. Yeah, it really is cool that we can do this for so long. It really is, And okay, last year, last summer, like I moved from an apartment I was staying in into my own 2 bedroom condo, you know, and because of the way like it happened, like I ended up like pulling a muscle, like I tore like the glute muscle, and then there was like a whole pinched nerve thing, and Dean, you can vouch for this story. Matter of fact, mine, you can, because you saw it too. Like all of summer, like I couldn't stand. I couldn't put any weight on my right leg, and like, the show must go on. I still got to do these events, but like I can't stand, and the doctors are trying to figure out, what happened, Cairo and all that, and like it was the first time in my life, like one, I suffered an injury like that to where like I couldn't move, and it was the first time where I thought to myself, this could be it. Like this could be my swan song once I get through the summer season. Like if it doesn't get any better, and I was having like a midlife DJ crisis. It's like, like what if this is it? What is this? Is it, what what if I'm done? Like I don't know if I can do this because what we do requires so much physicality, you know. And I was talking to like a friend of mine, DJ Lewis. He does STK. He's part of the Event Concepts crew. And I was telling him, it's like, man, like I'm like in panic mode. Like this could be it. Like this could be it. And he literally laughed at me. It's like, bro, stop it. It's like you got a good 10 years, if not another 20 in you doing this out here. And the fact that people have that much faith in me and my abilities, and that I'm in this environment where like managers and things like they have like my back, they believe in me. Like I'm very blessed, extremely blessed to be in the position that I am in life, be surrounded by the people that I have. Like there's so many people that like I didn't realize at the time were like rooting for me, that have gotten my back. Like when something goes crazy, it's like they're like, yo, whatever we need, we got you. You know, though, like it's when I say that I can look back and say like every hardship, every difficulty that I went through, it makes me appreciate where I am even more. Like they say, like you got to go through hardships to remain humble when you get there. Like I get it. Like I absolutely, completely get it. Because if I hadn't gone through, the things that I have, the career problems, the heartbreaks, like it would be so insanely easy for anybody in the position that I'm in and other people like me are in, where we do what we do around Disney World property. It's so easy to get caught up in it and just get this astronomical ego to where you think that like I am the elite of the elite. You know, it could be so easy to slip into that mentality because they take care of you. You're watched out for as an entertainer. They want you to succeed because the more you succeed, the more they succeed. It's very, very, very easy to become addicted to the adoration of the crowd, of management, of the entire environment, because this isn't like DJing in nightclubs. It's a completely different world. So I personally believe that you have to go through things in life that remind you that it's not all, peaches and cream and roses, so that when you get to this certain point in life, whether it's successful DJ at Disney World or wherever it is, like you have to go through the things so you remember that you can keep who you are as your core, because I promise you, this world, this lifestyle, it will bring out who you are. It absolutely will. Like, it will bring out the best in you if you're a good person, and it can bring out the worst in you if that's who you have inside. Like I've what it's been. Ooh, wow, we're going on 3 years in November now, and just in 3 years, like I've seen the various personalities and the effects of success, on people, and how they have changed, and how some people are humble, and then when they realize what it is they do and what it is, what the circle that they run in is, what privileges that allows, how it changes them. I've seen people's mentalities change, and I just refuse to be one of those people, because again, I'm I'm a little ghetto boy from Los Angeles, and I perform for the largest multimedia company in the world. You can't make this up. And I am very mindful and appreciative of that. We're all going through one of those things right now. I think I've never missed work as much as I do right now. You know what? I'm feeling the same thing. Like everybody's been live streaming, and I've done it 2 or 3 times. 2 times at night, 1 time in the afternoon, and it's just like it's not the same. And don't get me wrong, I love DJing. I've always done it. I love doing it for myself. But it's different. Like I can't just get on and live stream for people like that, because like I like the connection of people. Like this whole situation is absolutely nuts, of not being able to do what we do for people, and when I can get back out there, when we can get back out there and do what we do and entertain these people, like all hell is going to break loose, because I'm coming out guns blazing, and I know I'm not the only one. Like I know everybody out there who thinks like I do, performs like I do, and loves what I do like I do, we're all going to hit the ground running. Like it's going to be parties unlike people have ever seen before. I honestly believe that, because we've been sitting around. It's like a caged animal, just walking around with all this energy, and it's going to come out in people's performances. And I think those first couple months are going to be off the absolute wall, because people are just going to be ready to go. Like not just from us, but the people out there, they're ready to party. There are people who are just like, we want to get back. We want to do something. Like a couple days does not go by when I don't get some type of message about, I missed that party outside. I missed that party outside. It's just, it's going to be like, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing the people. I'm looking forward to seeing my DJ friends just go absolutely nuts when they get back out there. Like I look forward to that, because not only am I a DJ, but I'm a fan. I'm a fan of good DJing. I'm a fan of good shows. I like going to see people that give me goosebumps, that make me feel something, and I can't not wait to see what everybody has planned. It's going to be, and I hate using this word. I really hate using this word because it's so overplayed, but it's going to be epic. It's going to be an epic time when everything opens back up and we get back to doing what we do. Like I have no doubt about that. It's whew, just even thinking about it, like I get chills, because it's going to be absolutely amazing. It really is. And like I miss my guys. I miss my coworkers. Like, I miss you guys. I miss mine. I miss, Jagger, you do your thing out there. I miss you, Dean. Like, I miss seeing people. I miss the bands. I miss everybody out there who goes out there and gives it 110% because I love people who are passionate about what they do. No, because it inspires me. Like it keeps me on my toes because if they're giving it their all, there's no excuse for me not to. Like I've gotta match that level, and then I've got to take it up a level because that's the competition in me. It's like I'm a ham. I'm a showman. I don't like to be outdone. Like I when people leave, I want them talking about me. And that's not to discredit any other entertainer. It's just like that is where if I have an ego, that's where my ego is. You know, like my ego is to be the best performer that night. Like it's whew, like that is in me. Like I love showing off. I love getting people to like let loose, and if I have to take it like a whole nother level, I like doing that because I feel that that's a lost art. I really do. Like people will go and just they'll do the bare minimum to get a paycheck. You know, like, oh, you're gonna pay me $200 for this, then I'm going to give you $100 worth of performance. You know, for me, I don't care what you pay me. You hired me, which means you get all of me, regardless. Like this, it's not for a check because, like, truth be told, like I make enough. Like all I do is DJ, and I make a very, very nice salary doing that. So it doesn't matter what you're going to pay me for the event. I'm going to make my money regardless. What does matter to me is when this is over, were you happy? Were you entertained? You know, like you brought up weddings, and this is the thing that people don't get sometimes, and you guys, who do weddings, all that, like you can vouch for me on this, that like at the end of the day, when it comes to a wedding, the people there, they're not going to remember what the decorations on the table were. They're not going to remember what they had for dinner. They're not going to remember what they drink. What they are going to remember, what they will talk about 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, 20 years from now is whether or not that reception was a party that they enjoyed. And we're responsible for that. Period. End of story. There's nothing else that matters more than that. Like that's what they're going to walk away from. That's what they're going to walk away. They're going to want to remember, like, was this a reception that I enjoyed? They will talk about you, whether it was good or whether it was bad. You will be talked about years from now. So our job is to make sure that when they do, that when your name is brought up as the person who did my wedding, that it is brought up and it brings smiles to people's faces, that it brings this feeling of, oh my God, that was the best wedding reception I've ever been to. That's what we're here for. That's why we do what we do, to leave an impression. It's our own form of immortality, so to speak. We do things that are going to live in people's memories forever. For as long as they're here, they're going to remember that. And if you're not in this for that, if you're not in this to make other people happy through your talents, through your ability, whatever it is, whether you're a turntable DJ, an MC specialist, whatever it is that you do to the best of your ability, like you have to leave that impression on them. And if you're not doing this for this, then get the hell out of it. Get out. Like seriously, like you're messing it up for people who actually give a damn about this job, about this career. Like you're the ones who give us who live and breathe this and work hard for it, a bad name. You know, the people who don't show up, the people who phone it in, the people who mess up, you know, bridal parties, the people who just, they do it because, oh, you know what, I want an extra $400 so I can go get some new Jordans. Like, get out of this industry because you don't belong. Like, your heart's not in it. You're like, your motivation is wrong. You know, yes, getting a paycheck is nice. Being able to live off of this is nice, but that has to be an afterthought to this, because if you're passionate about what you do, if you do what you do well and not worrying about that, I promise you the money will come. I'm a living example of that. No, I have been what you could call broke or a struggling artist for the majority of my adult life. You know, 2.5 years with Disney, I'm comfortable now. I don't stress. You know, the money will come if your heart and passion is in the right place. But if it's the other way around, you don't belong here. And I will stand flat footed and say this in the face of any DJ who wants to argue with me about it. You don't belong here. Like, you don't fit in here, because there are some of us who do this, love this, will die for it, will die doing it. And if that's not what you're about, if you're not built like that, bounce, bounce. Like, those people crack me up when they come up and say, oh, well, I used to do this. Well, if you were that good, you'd still be doing this. So don't tell me how to do it. Go sit back down. Thank you. Have a nice day. So like, do what you love, and the rest will come. It will come. You know, if you are a new DJ and you're watching this and you're wondering like, well, how do I get to, a certain level? Ask yourself, like, why are you doing it? Like, are you doing it because you have a love of music that you want to share with people? Are you doing it because you think it's cool? Are you doing it because you want to meet girls? Now, none of those are bad reasons per se. But know why you're doing it. You know, if you're doing it just because you think it's cool, I'll tell you firsthand, you're not going to last. If you think you're going to do it because you want to get girls, again, you're not going to last. And the reason why you're not going to last is because I will tell you from firsthand experience, women love a DJ until they're with a DJ. You know, the same thing that a woman was attracted to you with will be the exact same thing why she wants you to stop. And she will make your life a living headache. So if you're in it for girls, nah, fam, that ain't it. That ain't it. I can tell you that is not going to work out in your favor. So that brings us right back to square one. Love of music. You have to love music. You have to have this desire to love it and want to share that with people and make them hear music the way you want to hear music. And then once you figure out if that's your reason, if you're a new DJ, then you've got to study it. You have got to study music. You have got to become a student of music, not just what's new, but you've got to go back. You've got to learn what B-sides mean. You've got to learn what 12-inch mixes mean, what extended mixes are. Yes, you can go grab things off Club Killers all day long, but it means nothing if you don't study that. You can't just go download music, drop it in a folder and say, okay, boom, I got it. No, you got to study it. You got to study intros, outros, breakdowns, acapellas, redrums. You got to study all these things that will separate you. You've got to study. I cannot stress that enough. Study music. learn music, learn different genres. You know, the more you know, or rather, the more you can do equals the more you can do. And what I mean by that is like, let's just call it like it is. People look at me and they see a black man and they automatically think, you know, whether they want to or not, they instinctively and automatically think, okay, hip hop. That's what they think. You know, I've had people say it to me plenty of times. But the fact that I can do hip hop, 70s, EDM, reggae, merengue, salsa, that rock and roll, I can put my hands in various pots and put together things that people wouldn't think go in the same soup, is what has put me in this place in the first place. You know, the more that I can do, the more events that I can do, the more versatile you are, it opens up the doors to the types and the amount of work you can get. You know, so don't box yourself in. If you're a new DJ starting out, don't box yourself in and think, oh, I can only do this. No, if you want to make a career out of this, expand your horizons. You know, there are only yeah, no problem, man. It was good to see you, big boy. Well, we'll see you soon. We'll all be out there again soon. You know, if you're new to this, don't box yourself in. You know, expand your horizons. Don't be afraid, because there are only certain DJs that get to a certain level, you know, that are making, you know, the 10,000, 20,000, $100,000 a night. You know, there's only so many, you know, Armin van Buren's, you know, David Guetta's, Jazzy Jeffs, you know, D Nice's. Like, there's only so many of those. You know, so many spots to fill. Like, it takes a different set of events, you know, and career paths to get to that level. Not everyone's going to make it, but you can make a five-figure salary, a six-figure salary, annual salary doing this if you open yourself up to the possibilities of, you know, doing various different styles, you know, various different things. You know, so study, be versatile, you know, learn, get yourself a mentor if you can. You know, get somebody who has been around the block, so to speak, you know, and can help you navigate your career as a new DJ, you know, and get somebody who's willing to share that knowledge. You know, there are a lot of guys who won't, but there are some, like, you know, like myself and other people who will, you know, who want to see other people succeed and can, from their own experience, tell you, okay, don't do this, work this way, navigate this way, and it's going to make your life a little bit easier, you know, to get to where you want to be. Like, it's just, if you're new, there are plenty of possibilities for you, you know, but you have to want it for the right reasons, because again, if it's the wrong reasons, no matter what somebody teaches you, you're going to expose yourself and you'll shoot yourself in the foot and be back to something else, you know, or a 9 to 5 or an office job or whatever. You know what your reasons are, know why you're getting into this, know why you want to be part of this lifestyle, because it looks like fun and games on the outside. It really does, because it looks like, oh, all you guys do is throw a party. It looks like that, you know, but hopefully this little glimpse behind the curtain will let you know, like, it's not as easy as it looks on the outside. You know, it's a completely different thing once you're in the trenches of being a DJ. You know, it's a different world. You know, so it's been an hour and 10. I was only supposed to do this for an hour, but like, this has been fun. Like, thank you guys for coming out. We're definitely gonna have to do this again, because I want to share like my experiences, like my life, and hopefully, you know, inspire some other people the way I was inspired as a kid, you know, and help you guys navigate this career if that's what you're into. So once again, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate you so much. Stay safe. Please, you guys, stay inside. This is not a joke. I lost a family member, you know, this week to complications from this virus. So Stay safe. Take care of each other. I love you guys. I leave you with my rule of life, and that's be good, or at least be good at it. I love you guys. I'm out of here.